a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Our Gang. Our Gang are a series of American comedy short films about a group of poor neighborhood children and their adventures. Created by comedy producer Hal Roach, the series was produced from 1922 to 1944 and is noted for showing children behaving in a relatively natural way. As Roach and original director Robert F. McGowan worked to film the unaffected, raw nuances apparent in regular children rather than have them imitate adult acting styles. The series broke new ground by portraying white and black boys and girls interacting as equals. The franchise began in 1922 as a series of silent short subjects produced by the Roach Studio and released by Pathé Exchange. Roach changed distributors from Pathé to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in 1927, and the series entered its most popular period after converting to sound in 1929. Production continued at the Roach Studio until 1938, when the series was sold to MGM, which produced the comedies until 1944. In total, the Our Gang series includes 220 shorts and one feature film, General Spanky, and featured over 41 child actors. As MGM retained the rights to the Our Gang trademark following their purchase of the production rights, the 80 Roach-produced talkies were syndicated for television under the title The Little Rascals beginning in 1955. Roach's The Little Rascals package and MGM's Our Gang package have since remained in syndication. New productions based on the shorts have been made over the years, including a 1994 feature film, Little Rascals, released by Universal Pictures. Directorial approach. Senior director Robert F. McGowan helmed most of the Our Gang shorts until 1933, assisted by his nephew Anthony Mack. McGowan worked to develop a style that allowed the children to be as natural as possible, downplaying the importance of the filmmaking equipment. Scripts were written for the shorts by the Hal Roach comedy writing staff, which included at various times Leo McCarey, Frank Capra, Walter Lantz, and Frank Tashlin, among others. The children, some too young to read, rarely saw the scripts. Instead, McGowan would explain the scene to be filmed to each child immediately before it was shot, directing the children using a megaphone and encouraging improvisation. When sound came in at the end of the 1920s, McGowan modified his approach slightly, but scripts were not adhered to until McGowan left the series. Later Our Gang directors, such as Gus Mines and Gordon Douglas, streamlined the approach to McGowan's methods to meet the demands of the increasingly sophisticated movie industry of the mid to late 1930s. Douglas in particular had to streamline his films, as he directed Our Gang after Roach halved the running times of the shorts from 2 reels to 1 reel. Finding and replacing the cast. As children became too old for the series, they were replaced by new children, usually from the Los Angeles area. Eventually Our Gang talent scouting employed large-scale national contests in which thousands of children tried out for an open role. Norman, Chubby, Cheney, Matthew, Stymie, Beard, and Billy, Buckwheat, Thomas all won contests to become members of the gang. Even when there was no talent search, the studio was bombarded by requests from parents who were sure their children were perfect for the series. Among them were the future child stars Mickey Rooney and Shirley Temple, neither of whom made it past the audition. African American cast members. The Our Gang series is notable for being one of the first in cinema history in which blacks and whites were portrayed as equals. The 4 African American child actors who held main roles in the series were Ernie, Sunshine Sammy, Morrison, Alan, Farina, Hoskins, Matthew, Stymie, Beard, and Billy, Buckwheat, Thomas. Ernie Morrison was, in fact, the first African-American actor signed to a long-term contract in Hollywood history and the first major African-American star in Hollywood history. In their adult years, Morrison, Beard, and Thomas became some of Our Gang's staunchest defenders, maintaining that its integrated cast and innocent storylines were far from racist. They explained that the white children's characters in the series were similarly stereotyped: the freckle-faced kid, the fat kid, the neighborhood bully, the pretty blonde girl, and the mischievous toddler. "We were just a group of kids who were having fun," Stymie Beard recalled. Ernie Morrison stated, "When it came to race, Hal Roach was colorblind. Other minorities, including the Asian Americans and Edward Suhu and the Italian-American actor, were depicted in the series with varying levels of stereotyping. 1922-1925, Early years. According to Roach, the idea for Our Gang came to him in 1921, when he was auditioning a child actress to appear in a film. The girl was, in his opinion, overly made up and overly rehearsed, and Roach waited for the audition to be over. After the girl and her mother left the office, Roach looked out of his window to a lumber yard across the street, where he saw some children having an argument. The children had all taken sticks from the lumberyard to play with, but the smallest child had the biggest stick, and the others were trying to force him to give it to the biggest child. After realizing that he had been watching the children bicker for 15 minutes, Roach thought a short film series about children just being themselves might be a success. Our Gang also had its roots in an aborted Roach short subject series revolving around the adventures of a black boy called Sunshine Sammy, played by Ernie Morrison. Theater owners then were wary of booking shorts focused on a black boy, and the series ended after just one entry. The Pickaninny was produced. Morrison's Sunshine Sammy instead became one of the foci of the new Our Gang series. Under the supervision of Charlie Chase, work began on the first 2 reel shorts in the new Kids and Pets series, to be called Hal Roach's Rascals. Later that year, director Fred C. Neumeier helmed the first pilot film, entitled Our Gang, but Roach scrapped Neumeyer's work and had former fireman Robert F. McGowan reshoot the short. Roach tested it at several theaters around Hollywood. The attendees were very receptive, and the press clamored for lots more of those Our Gang comedies. The colloquial usage of the term Our Gang led to its becoming the series' second official title, with the title cards reading, Our Gang Comedies, Hal Roach Presents His Rascals in. The series was officially called both Our Gang and Hal Roach's Rascals until 1932, when Our Gang became the sole title of the series. The first cast of Our Gang was recruited primarily of children recommended to Roach by studio employees, with the exception of Ernie Morrison, under contract to Roach. The other Our Gang recruits included Roach photographer Gene Kornman's daughter Mary Kornman, their friend's son Mickey Daniels, and family friends Alan, Farina, Hoskins, Jack Davis, Jackie Condon, and Joe Cobb. Most early shorts were filmed outdoors and on location, and featured a menagerie of animal characters, such as Dinah the Mule. Roach's distributor Pathé released One Terrible Day, the 4th short produced for the series, as the first Our Gang short on September 10, 1922. The pilot Our Gang was not released until November 5. The Our Gang series was a success from the start, with the children's naturalism, the funny animal actors, and McGowan's direction making a successful combination. The shorts did well at the box office, and by the end of the decade the Our Gang children were pictured on numerous product endorsements. The biggest Our Gang stars then were Sunshine Sammy, Mickey Daniels, Mary Kornman, and Little Farina, who eventually became the most popular member of the 1920s gang, and the most popular black child star of the 1920s. A reviewer wrote of his character in Photoplay, "The honors go to a very young lady of color, billed as Little Farina. Scarcely 2 years old, she goes through each set like a wee, somber shadow." Daniels and Kornman were very popular, and were often paired in Our Gang and a later teen version of the series called The Boyfriends, which Roach produced from 1930 to 1932. Other early Our Gang children were Eugene, Pineapple, Jackson, Scooter Lowry, Andy Samuel, Johnny Downs, Winston, and Weston Doty, and J.R. Smith. 1926-1929, New Faces and New Distributors. After Sammy, Mickey and Mary left the series in the mid-1920s, the Our Gang series entered a transitional period. The stress of directing child actors forced Robert McGowan to take doctor-mandated sabbaticals for exhaustion, leaving his nephew Robert A. McGowan to direct many shorts in this period. The Mac-directed shorts are considered to be among the lesser entries in the series. New faces included Bobby Weezer Hutchins, Harry Spear, Jean Darling, and Mary Ann Jackson, while stalwart Farina served as the series anchor. Also at this time, the Our Gang cast acquired an American Pit Bull Terrier with a ring around one eye, originally named Pansy, but soon known as Pete the Pup. The most famous Our Gang pet In 1927, Roach ended his distribution arrangement with the Pathé Company. He signed on to release future products through the newly formed Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, which released its first Our Gang comedy in September 1927. The move to MGM offered Roach larger budgets and the chance to have his films packaged with MGM features to the Loews Theatres chain. Some shorts around this time, particularly spoofing, contained extended scenes of the gang tormenting and teasing Farina, scenes which helped spur the claims of racism, which many other shorts did not warrant. These shorts marked the departure of Jackie Condon, who had been with the group from the beginning of the series. 1929, 1931, entering the sound era. Starting in 1928, Our Gang comedies were distributed with phonographic discs that contained synchronized music and sound effect tracks for the shorts. In spring 1929, the Roach sound stages were converted for sound recording, and Our Gang made its All Talking debut in April 1929, with the 25-minute Small Talk. It took a year for McGowan and the gang to fully adjust to talking pictures, during which time they lost Joe Cobb, Jean Darling and Harry Spear and added Norman, Chubby, Cheney, Dorothy DeBorba, Matthew, Stymie, Beard, Donald Haynes, and Jackie Cooper. Cooper proved to be the personality the series had been missing since Mickey Daniels left, and was featured prominently in three 1930-1931 Our Gang films, Teacher's Pet, School's Out, and Love Business. These three shorts explored Jackie Cooper's crush on the new school teacher Miss Crabtree, played by June Marlowe. Cooper soon won the lead role in Paramount's feature film Skippy, and Roach sold his contract to MGM in 1931. Other Our Gang members appearing in the early sound shorts included Buddy McDonald, Bobby, Bonedust, Young, and Shirley Jean Rickert. Many also appeared in a group cameo appearance in the all-star comedy short The Stolen Jewels. Beginning with When the Wind Blows, background music scores were added to the soundtracks of most of the Our Gang films. Initially, the music consisted of orchestral versions of then-popular tunes. Marvin Hatley had served as the music director of Hal Roach Studios since 1929, and RCA employee Leroy Shield joined the company as a part-time musical director in mid-1930. Hatley and Shield's jazz-influenced scores, first featured in Our Gang with 1930s Pups' Pups, became recognizable trademarks of Our Gang, Laurel and Hardy, and the other Roach series and films. Another 1930 short, Teacher's Pet, marked the first use of the Our Gang theme song, Good Old Days, composed by Leroy Shield, and featuring a notable saxophone solo. Shield and Hatley's scores would support Our Gang's on-screen action regularly through 1934, after which series entries with background scores became less frequent. In 1930, Roach began production on The Boyfriends, a short subject series which was essentially a teenaged version of Our Gang, featuring Our Gang alumni Mickey Daniels and Mary Kornman among its cast. The Boyfriends was produced for 2 years, with 15 installments in total. 1931-1933, transition. Jackie Cooper left Our Gang in early 1931 at the cusp of another major shift in the lineup, as Farina Hoskins, Chubby Cheney, and Mary Ann Jackson all departed a few months afterward. Our Gang entered another transitional period, similar to that of the mid-1920s. Stymie Beard, Weezer Hutchins, and Dorothy DeBorba carried the series during this period, aided by Sherwood Bailey and Kentel, Breezy Brisbane, McComas. Unlike the mid-1920s period, McGowan sustained the quality of the series with the help of the several regular cast members and the Roach writing staff. Many of these shorts include early appearances of Jerry Tucker and Wally Albright, who later became series regulars. New Roach discoverer George Spanky McFarland joined the gang late in 1931 at the age of 3 and, accepting a brief hiatus during the summer of 1938, remained an Our Gang actor for 11 years. At first appearing as the tag-along toddler of the group, and later finding an accomplice in Scotty Beckett in 1934, Spanky quickly became Our Gang's biggest child star. He won parts in a number of outside features, appeared in many of the now numerous Our Gang product endorsements and spin-off merchandise items, and popularized the expressions, "Okie dokie," and "Okie doke." Dickie Moore, a veteran child actor, joined in the middle of 1932 and remained with the series for 1 year. Other members in these years included Mary Ann Jackson's brother Dickie Jackson, John Colum, and Tommy Bond. Upon Dickie Moore's departure in mid-1933, long-term Our Gang members such as Weezer and Dorothy left the series as well. 1933-1936, New Directions. Robert McGowan, burned out from the stress of working with the child actors, had as early as 1931 attempted to resign from his position as Our Gang producer/director. Lacking a replacement, Hal Roach persuaded him to stay on for another year. At the start of the 1933-34 season, the Our Gang series format was significantly altered to accommodate McGowan and persuade him to stay another year. The first two entries of the season in fall 1933, Bedtime Worries and Wild Poses, focused on Spanky McFarland and his hapless parents, portrayed by Gay Seabrook and Emerson Tracy, in a family-oriented situation comedy format similar to the style later popular on television. A smaller cast of Our Gang kids Stymie Beard, Tommy Bond, Jerry Tucker, and Georgie Billings were featured in supporting roles with reduced screen time. An unsatisfied McGowan abruptly left after Wild Poses. Coupled with a brief suspension in Spanky McFarland's work permit, Our Gang went into a 4-month hiatus, during which the series was revised to a format similar to its original style, and German-born Gus Meintz was hired as the new series director. Hi Neighbor, released in March 1934, ended the hiatus and was the first series entry directed by Meintz, a veteran of the once competing Buster Brown short subject series. Gordon Douglas served as Meintz' assistant director, and Fred Neumeier alternated directorial duties with Meintz for a handful of shorts. Meintz' Our Gang shorts were less improvisational than McGowan's and featured a heavier reliance on dialogue. McGowan returned 2 years later to direct his Our Gang swan song, Diggers, released in 1936. Retaining Spanky McFarland, Stymie Beard, Tommy Bond, and Jerry Tucker, the revised series added Scotty Beckett, Wally Albright, and Billy Thomas, who soon began playing the character of Stymie's sister, Buckwheat. Though Thomas was a male, semi-regular actors, such as Jackie Lynn Taylor, Marianne Edwards, and Leonard Keebrick as the neighborhood bully, joined the series at this time. Tommy Bond and Wally Albright left in the middle of 1934. Jackie Lynn Taylor and Marianne Edwards would depart by 1935. Early in 1935, Carl Switzer and his brother Harold joined the gang after impressing Roach with an impromptu performance at the studio commissary. While Harold would eventually be relegated to the role of a background player, Carl, nicknamed Alfalfa, eventually replaced Scotty Beckett as Spanky's sidekick. Stymie Beard left the cast soon after, and the Buckwheat character morphed subtly into a male. That same year, Darla Hood, Patsy May, and Eugene Porky Lee joined the gang, as Scotty Beckett departed for a career in features. The final Roach years. Our Gang was very successful during the 1920s and the early 1930s. However, by 1934, many movie theater owners were increasingly dropping two reel comedies like Our Gang and the Laurel and Hardy series from their bills and running double feature programs instead. The Laurel and Hardy series went from film shorts to features exclusively in mid-1935. By 1936, Hal Roach began debating plans to discontinue Our Gang until Louis B. Meyer, head of Roach's distributor MGM, persuaded Roach to keep the popular series in production. Roach agreed, producing shorter, one-reel Our Gang comedies. The first one-reel Our Gang short, Board of Education, marked the Our Gang directorial debut of former assistant director Gordon Douglas and won the Academy Award for Best Short Subject in 1937. As part of the arrangement with MGM to continue Our Gang, Roach received the clearance to produce an Our Gang feature film, General Spanky, hoping that he might move the series to features as was done with Laurel and Hardy. Directed by Gordon Douglas and Fred Neumeier, General Spanky featured Spanky, Buckwheat, and Alfalfa in a sentimental, Shirley Temple-esque story set during the Civil War. The film focused more on the adult leads than the children and was a box office disappointment. No further Our Gang features were made. After years of gradual cast changes, the troupe standardized in 1936 with the move to one-reel shorts. Most casual fans of Our Gang are particularly familiar with the 1936-1939 incarnation of the cast: Spanky, Alfalfa, Darla, Buckwheat, and Porky, with recurring characters such as neighborhood bullies Butch and Worm and the bookworm Waldo. Tommy Bond, an off and on member of the gang since 1932, returned to the series as Butch beginning with the 1937 short Glove Taps. Sidney Keebrick, the younger brother of Leonard Keebrick, played Butch's crony, Worm. Glove Taps also featured the first appearance of Darwood Kay as the bespectacled, foppish Waldo. In later shorts, both Butch and Waldo were portrayed as Alfalfa's rivals in his pursuit of Darla's affections. Other popular elements in these mid to late 1930s shorts include the He-Man Woman Haters Club, From Hearts A Thumps and Male and Female, the Laurel and Hardy-ish interaction between Alfalfa and Spanky, and the comic tag-along team of Porky and Buckwheat. Roach produced the final two-reel Our Gang short, a high-budget musical special entitled Our Gang Follies of 1938. In 1937 as a parody of MGM's Broadway Melody of 1938. In Follies of 1938, Alfalfa, who aspires to be an opera singer, falls asleep and dreams that his old pal Spanky has become the rich owner of a swanky Broadway nightclub where Darla and Buckwheat perform, making hundreds and thousands of dollars. As the profit margins continued to decline owing to double features, Roach could no longer afford to continue producing Our Gang. However, MGM did not want the series discontinued and agreed to take over production. On May 31, 1938, Roach sold MGM the Our Gang unit, including the rights to the name and the contracts for the actors and writers, for $25,000. After delivering the Laurel and Hardy feature Blockheads, Roach also ended his distribution contract with MGM, moving to United Artists, and leaving the short subjects business. The final Roach-produced short in the Our Gang series, Hide and Shriek, was his final short subject production. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?